But it's awesome having this new group here. It's a whole new energy, and it's fun. They're my type of guys.
Hey, are these practices new, this kind of thing? Or
No,
have you always done something like this?
Yeah. I mean, NCAA's had it for probably the last 15, 20 years, where you get 4 hours a week in the summer. Yeah, you get 8 weeks, and you get 4 hours on the court each week of those 8 weeks.
Hey, just how different is this year to last year? This first practice as compared to last year's first practice.
Night and day from an energy standpoint, from a personality standpoint, and what I mean by that, like we got guys that talk, like they're fun to be around, man. They compete. It's a whole different level of. I mean, you could just feel it today, like the competition. Our body type, like we look different, and we have 4 really good, strong athletes that aren't with us right now. But you can see just our size and like our girth, like we're a lot bigger, we're thicker, and hopefully it translates to a lot more wins.
Then just, in this summer, obviously, it's like 5 or 6 months before you play your first game.
Yeah.
What do you want to accomplish during this time, during the summer?
Yeah, chemistry. We have guys are going to have to invest in each other. Like we have a lot of talent. We got scores, we got size, we got athleticism, and they got to push each other to get better. There's going to be a lot of competition at every spot, which I love. That's the only way to get better. I think we have a lot more depth this year than we did, and and hopefully that pushes our practices to be better. You got to be on point every day. And if you're not, you're gonna get embarrassed, and that's what all good teams have. But we have to really come together as a group, and not just us. That's every team, with a lot of newcomers. But the harder we play and the quicker that we come together and share each other's success, the more successful we'll be.
How would you describe the recruiting process in the transfer portal last year compared to this season?
Yeah, I mean, this year, we had a full year to do it, and not just. I mean, it was hard last year and not just in our situation. There was only so many guys that could really impact the Big Ten when you get a job in April, and being able to get them on campus, and all of a sudden you lose out on 2 or 3 guys, and you're 2 weeks behind, and you're in big trouble, and like I said, our team last year, I loved them, great kids, they really were, and I felt like we did, probably as good as we could have recruiting at that point of the year and getting kids up here. But now I wanted to sign those high school kids early to get a base, and I love all of them, and I think they're all going to be tremendous players, not just good players. They're going to be tremendous, and they got an edge to them. Like they're fun to be around, man. They got personality. They joke around. They're not coming in here like typical freshmen, and it's fun to see, and it's good for our leaders to have them, and now. We're going to have to smack them down a little bit and humble them, but I love the energy and the swagger that they got. But doing that eliminated having to sign 13 guys in the portal late. Like that, it's too hard. And I've had to do it 2 straight, at Utah State in the first year here. It's too hard. You have to get lucky when you're doing that. But I thought we got a really good base early. And then just throughout the year, you can evaluate guys. Everybody has to do it. People were evaluating our roster last year too, and so that it helped. And we kind of had more going through a year in the Big Ten and the travel, seeing the type of players that were successful, the teams that were successful. We really knew and could narrow down what type of player we needed.
Taking a look at this roster, you've got some things that we haven't seen here in a while, and that's multiple bigs. You've got multiple.
We got 3 of them that aren't even here on the court yet.
You got multiple point guards, but I got to imagine sometimes when you slow down a little bit, you're playing mad scientist, thinking about lineups that you can go to when you're big, multiple lineups when you're small. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of mad scientist on what those look like?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be fun. There's gonna be some hurt feelings because you can't play everybody, and that's where competition comes in. That's where competing every day in practice and doing the things that win basketball games at the Big Ten level. That's what we're looking for. It's effort has got to be non-negotiable. taking care of the basketball and rebounding, non-negotiable. Because we have talent where if you're not doing it, you're going to get singled out and you're not going to play. And so that's going to really enhance our program. But it's going to be fun. You know, like our length and our athleticism, you know, like I mentioned, you know, Madi Traore's not here, 6'11" freak athlete. Christian Nitu, 6'11", athletic. Hannes, you know, who's playing his butt off right now for Team Germany, you know, who's skilled, and, you know, he's on NBA mock drafts in the first round next year. Like, that's three really talented bigs to go along with Lathan and Frank and Jacob. And so, you know, they're gonna sharpen each other. You know, they kind of say iron sharpens iron. Like, they're gonna sharpen each other, and it's gonna bring out the best in each of them. And then guard wise, like, yeah, I mean, we got a lot.
Could you see yourself going with a big lineup of three guys that are 6'10" plus?
Yeah, it could, at times. You know, and then I could see us going really small. I think we have some guards that are really, really hard to guard off the bounce, and they can all shoot and they can play really well off each other. So when teams do go small, like, we'll be able to match a lot of different lineups, you know, which you have to do. You know, the way like Illinois plays is completely different than the way Michigan State plays, or Michigan with like their two bigs last year. So having that depth and just that talent on the team to be able to match people's styles on any given night, you know, will hopefully give us an advantage.
You know, I know Hannes is probably no secret to anybody, but still, is he just kind of coming into his own right now? And maybe a lot of schools are going, wow, we didn't really know he was that good.
I mean, I think people knew they were that good, and I got to give credit to Andy Hill. You know, Andy Hill's the one that evaluated him really, really early on in the process. And, you know, people don't know, like, we signed him early, you know, and we obviously didn't announce it. And it got so out of control late with every single program in the country, like the elite of the elite, trying to get in there. And but we had already had him signed.
What is it about how?
But like, there's a reason he's 25th on the mock draft. Like, people know about him. Yeah.
I was just say, what is it about him that makes him special? Like, what you know, you refer to his hands, being a guy. What is it about his game that makes him so special?
His skill level is very unique. You know, I mean, he's 6'9" and he's growing by the day. He's got huge hands. Like, when you meet him, and like he's got basketball hands and basketball shoulders. And but his skill level is unique. Like, he's tremendous, like in the short roll or in the DHO game, like passing. Like, he's phenomenal. He's really starting to shoot the ball better. And once he does that, he's gonna be really hard to deal with. But his rebounding, you know, even when he was kind of 6'7" and 6'8" and still growing, he's just one of those guys that had a knack to rebound the basketball. You know, I think he had 19 the other day. But he's just, if he gets his hands on it, he's getting it. And, you know, kind of like, I don't want to say he's Dennis Rodman, but just how some guys just have a knack to always be around the basketball, that's what he is. And even early on in the recruiting, you know, his agent, his coaches, like, that's what they said. They're just like, I don't know, like, he's just literally always getting the rebound. No matter what, he just knows where to go and he has a great basketball feel.
And then on the same note with JJ, obviously we've seen his success with USA basketball, still making cut after cut. What is it about his game that you, like, why you're so excited about him? Because that was one of the guys that you just kind of singled out throughout the process. Like, hey, like, don't sleep on JJ here.
Yeah, he's like the point guards I've had and been successful with. He's more interested in his teammates' success. And that's why he's on Team USA. And that's why he already has 2 gold medals, and hopefully he gets a 3rd here. But he's a throwback. He's so unselfish. He can still score and do whatever he wants on the court, but he has a feel for the game, and he can throw guys open. You know, he reminds me of the point guard we had at Utah State, Darius Brown, who I thought was the best point guard in the entire country 2 years ago. He would throw guys open. Like, he'll throw the ball to a guy to go get the ball to lay it up, or he'll open up a shot by creating a pass with his pass in the passing lane. And not many guys have that feel anymore. When our bigs who are going to the rim, and we got a lot of them this year that are going to be lob threats, they're going to get the ball. And it's going to make the defenses play us more honest. It's going to make, like, it changes your whole offense and your spacing when you have a guy that can really pass the ball like that.
Desmond Claude, late
Yeah.
edition, out of nowhere. Can you maybe give us the behind the scenes on that recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, we got on him when he jumped in the portal. probably like everybody in the country. You know, and we kind of kept getting word that he was going to go to a school down south, and you know, but we just kind of hung in there, and there was 2 separate times during the recruiting process where we didn't have contact with him or his dad or his agent for like 3 weeks. You know, and then a couple things happened where, you know, a couple visits got canceled, or some of those teams took other players, and then they reached back out. We got them on campus really quick. I just remember I was in Memphis and got a call like at 11:30 that night, and they wanted to visit the next day. So changed my flight, came home at 6 a.m. We got the visit done that day, and then we didn't hear from them for about another 2.5 weeks. Literally, I mean, I got text messages like I didn't hear from them, but that's just kind of the process, and that's how they went about it. And I think some people may have taken it the wrong way, and other schools dropped out, you know. And I think at the end, you know, I know us, Tennessee, there might have been one other school that was kind of, you know, in there. And then they basically called us, I think it was on a Friday night, and he said, Coach, I want to come. I literally hadn't talked to him in 14 days. And he called and said he wanted to come. Hey, come on. Not passing that up. And you can just see, like, he's really, really fun to be around. And I know that recruiting process, it probably sounds weird to people, but that's how stuff goes nowadays. And, you know, some schools cut it off. I mean, there was times actually where I was calling his dad to just say, hey, good luck, you know, congratulations, you guys. Hey, man, it was great meeting you guys on the visit, because I thought we were out. I really did. And thank God he didn't answer the call. And then they called back.
With Kwamari, a lot of people looking at him as a point guard, but
Yeah.
I don't see him as a point guard like
Well, you're
JJ
not
or
coaching.
Zoom. Can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
those guys?
No, he's a point guard. He's an end of possession guy too. He's really, really good. He can score it, but his instinct too, like, he wants to pass the ball. You know, and now East Tennessee State needed him to score too, but he was one of the most efficient and elite players at the end of the clock in the middle of the floor last year. In fact, I think he was one of the top 3 players in the entire country. Like, he shot almost 63% on top of the threes from the top of the key. And so he's just one of those guys. He's like a bulldog. He's really strong. You can play at a really good pace with him. He's a really good ball screen player. And I think this year, like, being able to get 2 on the ball, and now we got bigs, you know, Jacob and Hannes and Marty, even Frank, like, those guys that can catch it and do something with it or pass it, like, it's going to make it really, really hard to guard. But Kamari's he's a tremendous point guard that can really do some things at the end of the clock, but also create for others.
What kind of versatility does Jacob bring to your rosters, kind of in that same light?
Yeah, he's kind of like JJ in a way at the 4 spot. He's really, really skilled. You know, he's not always just hunting his shot, even though he was the leading scorer at Lipscomb, and like, he can really shoot it, and he just knows how to play. You know, he just does. He's one of the guys that your offense flows better because he catches it and he can process things really quick. Like a quarterback, like, he knows he has a shot, or he's moving it, or he's DHOing to get a teammate a shot or an angle to drive the ball to the paint. And so there's really no wasted motion with him. And I think that's where, like, he's going to be really, really good with the scores that we have around him. And he's going to make the offense flow really, really good when he's out there because, you know, if he's picking and pot, like, you have to respect him because he'll go make 5 or 6 threes in a game. And so it'll open up a lot of drives for our guards, but a lot of shots for himself too. But his IQ's kind of like Hannes is really, really good.
Hey, you know, obviously it's only been the one practice, and it's, you know, and it's just over. But did anybody, when you're out there, did any 1 or 2 players sort of jump out at you like, oh wow, you know, during this first practice?
Not really today, just because we implemented some pretty basic stuff. I know we have to get better defensively, and I don't care how good of talent we are offensively. Like, one-on-one, we got to be able to get stops. And that's one thing this year that, like, we're gonna have to do a much better job guarding one-on-one, especially on the perimeter, than we did last year.
And at what point in time do you expect those guys in, like the Christian, Marty, JJ, and is it
Yeah,
Hannes?
yeah, Hannes. Hopefully, JJ and Hannes. I think their championship game. Coach Hill's actually over there watching the U19s right now in Switzerland. I think they get the championships on Sunday, and I mean, hopefully, I think it'll be USA versus Germany. Hopefully, in that championship, and get to see both of them. And then Christian's on the U20 team, I believe, with Romania, and so he'll be probably a week or two after that is when their championships are, and then Madi, we're waiting on some visa stuff.
When the season ended, a lot of turnover. You got Zoom and Frank were all that was left. Did that surprise you, or did you expect that there would be a big turnover after that first season?
I expected it.
Yeah. Nobody surprised you that left? I mean, because you were.
No, I mean, really, like nothing surprises any coach nowadays. I mean, you look at some of the players that left schools in our league. I mean, our players are players we got. I mean, it was kind of the last year of without the revenue sharing, and so like every coach kind of expected it. But I think too, like we knew like what we had to do, to upgrade the talent. Now we had some good players leave too, but and I wish they're awesome kids. Like I love them, all of them, from Christian to Mackay, Tyler, Jace, like, and there's no ill will. Like I hope they're tremendous with all those schools. I really do. But I think, sometimes like we knew what we were bringing in, and it was going to be an all-out, competition, and some guys just got a lot more money. The truth, like, and good for them,
Have you felt the whole image of your program just change almost overnight here? Because everybody's got you ranked in the top 3 here, the top 10 here, as far as bringing in new guys, and your recruiting class with high school players is way up there too. But has Husky basketball all of a sudden just become, a lot more formidable as far as perception when you go talk to kids and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, now we got to go put it on the court. I mean, it always looks cute on rankings and on paper and all that, but now you got to go prove it. And we obviously didn't prove anything that first year, and so that's gotta be our chip on our shoulder, even the guys that weren't here. And now we got to go produce. And and sometimes those rankings, like I love the players we got, but sometimes when the rankings get a little bit higher, the more guys you sign, and we did have to sign a lot of guys. Now, so did a lot of other schools, but I think it is one of the top classes in the country, and now we got to go put that on the floor.
You have a healthy Frank, it appears. You didn't have that until late in the year last year, but you've also got Latham. Are those the only 2 guys that are true posts that you see? And can you talk a little bit about how you'll divide time with those guys and how you'll use them?
Yeah, I don't know anything about time yet. Like those guys, they'll decide the playing time. I think Latham can play the 4 or the 5 because he's actually really skilled. He can shoot the 3. A lot more than probably people think that he can. Madi and Christian too, like they can both play the 5, they can play the 4. Sometimes they can even slide down to a big 3, and so it's going to be really interesting in how our playing style kind of formulates the more we see everybody playing together. The one thing that we're going to do is like we're going to really try to play a lot faster. Like I've said it before, like last year, that I hate playing like that. But we had to limit possessions with that group to give ourselves a chance to succeed. I don't want to do that. Like, we're going to play fast. I want to play fast. I want to attack. I want to get our guards downhill. Bigs at the front of the rim. If you're open, we got to knock down. We want to shoot and make a lot more threes, and just play a lot more aggressive style, on both sides of the ball. But a lot of that stuff, like, we'll kind of see, because you never know till you get them. Like, what's their basketball IQ like? Can they pass? Like, do they make players better? Are they good screeners? And so we'll have to see how they all kind of come together. Probably by, hopefully the end of September, we'll have more of a plan of how we can play.
Frank's healthy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, looks great. He's had a great spring. I mean, really, it's the first spring that he's had where he hasn't had setbacks or recovering from a surgery. or something like that. So like, yeah, he's in great shape. He's probably lost 10, 12 pounds. Like he's leaned up to kind of take some pressure off his knees. But he looks great right now.
Just a quick clarifier, DOH, what is that, the acronym, or DHO? For the forwards, like you said DOH or DHO, what does that stand for?
Dribble handoff. Yeah, so like if a big gets it and dribbles in like a dribble pitch, yeah, dribble handoff.
Gotcha. And then on a bigger picture, how would you equate this current atmosphere requiring talents, year in, year out? Just could you equate it to anything that you've experienced in terms of like, oh, it's kind of like speed dating, or it's kind of like, at a buffet where you just kind of got to figure it out in 30 minutes or less or something like that. Is there anything you could equate it to?
Yeah, now that you said like a buffet, probably that. And it's like probably going to a buffet after you haven't eaten for about 24 hours, so like everything looks good. And you're just like, and then all of a sudden you just sit there and your eyes are a little bigger than your stomach. But it is, because like you get, every day there's 30 guys going in the portal. And it's hard to not get enticed with just talent. Like you still gotta, the hardest thing for all of us coaches around the country, football and, but like now you gotta piece them together. Now you have to have the talent, but you also have to make sure that they're coming to the University of Washington to win. Like at the end of the day, that's what we're all being judged on. And you gotta have guys that can come together and share each other's success and play for one another and play for the ITs and Brandon Roy's, the guys that played here before. Like they have to have that importance and that pride, which is not easy, but like that's our job.
All right, guys. Coach Scott, camp to get to.
You got it. Good to see